Motivation, having directly coached and trained and counseled many people across many industries. He is a published author and motivational speaker. Abiola Cham Salami is going to be sharing with us this month of December. We're talking about emotional intelligence and specifically how to control your anger. Wow. I think that's also quite important during this month of December.
Yeah.
Many things can make you angry for one reason or the other. But talk to us about why emotional intelligence is very important, whether in business or in life.
Okay, so the prerequisite for leadership, many people want to be leaders. And whether we're talking about political leadership or business leadership, there are a number of people out there who are seeking to become successful entrepreneurs. There are other people who are working already and they want to grow through the ranks to become a senior executive in their organization. Emotional intelligence is important because it is about having self-control. It is about being in control of our emotions and not allowing our emotions to control us. And you realize that as people continue to grow through the ranks, on the first or second level, your technical skills could be really important. But as you continue to grow higher, you need to learn how to manage people. You need to learn how to lead people. And how can you lead others if you can't lead yourself? The place of leading yourself is the place of emotional intelligence. That's self-control. So to really, truly have self-control, it's important to have emotional intelligence. And what's emotional intelligence? So that it's not just sounding like we're throwing some technical word expression out there. It is your ability as an individual to know yourself, to manage yourself, and then to know other people and manage them. So if you can understand yourself, which is a place of self-awareness, and because of what you know about you, you manage yourself effectively, and then you understand people, and based on what you know about them, you manage them effectively. That's the sum total of emotional intelligence.
Very important. I feel like this is something that more people need to know, especially people aspiring to be leaders, like you said. But anger is one of the things that I know leaders have to face, and sometimes it comes from the place of frustration. So you want your people to do certain things in a certain way, but it seems like they keep making the same mistakes. And then, you know, typically, especially in Nigeria, the response is, you know, if you want to get people to get something done, is to shout. I've heard of bosses who are abusive towards their subordinate and all of that. So it's reflecting what they desire through anger, or projecting it through anger, so that they can get people to do what you want them to do. So, but what are the alternatives?
Okay, so somebody said that pressure brings out the real you. That if you don't have it as a content, no matter how much you are pushed, it will not come out. So what to look at regarding anger is to understand that we are all the product of nature and nurture. Nature is our genes, you know, we behave like our parents or like somebody in the family. Nurture is by virtue of the things that we have learned. And what we have seen in psychology, this is not about my opinion, but about the research and a lot of work out there, body of work out there. In elementary biology, they taught us irritability, which is whenever there is stimulus, there is always response. Meaning if I do something to you, you are just supposed to react. In psychology, we learned that because we are not animals, because we're not animals, we have something that other species don't have, which is the place of our will, that between stimulus and response, we have the power to choose what we do. Meaning that if I slap you right now, what most people will say immediately, what you should do back without thinking is just respond. But the place of self-control and emotional intelligence is that you can choose what exactly to do. And the example I cited now, especially in the workplace where people, where there are policies against violence, if I slap you now, it is an assault. It is when I slap you and you respond to me, that is when there is a fight. So if I slap you now and you have the power to control your emotions, it is seen as an assault. The person at fault in that conversation is me, not you. And the moment I slap you back and you respond, because based on your nature and based on your nurture, what you have always known is to respond that way, then both of us were at fault. It could determine how far we will go on our careers if we are employed in a place. It could determine how much of customers that you can have if you're an entrepreneur. It could determine how well your relationship will be if it's in the family setting, between husband and wife, for example. People talk about violence every now and then.
Right.
It is lack of emotional intelligence. So it could determine all of that because we're a product of nature and nurture. We have an opportunity, right, to learn. I have an opportunity to unlearn what we've always known and to learn new things.
So let's talk about situations, because again, I like that you use the example of, you slapping someone. So somebody is assaulted, and so the person responds either in kind or responds by maybe escalating and saying, okay, this is what this person did to me, so that it's then clear. But there are some people who always say, I have a problem with anger, or I have a short temper, it's my nature. That's how I've always gotten things done. But in what you then discover with such people is that they've left a trail of people who are hurt by them. Maybe in some part they don't care because they're successful in how they've done whatever it is that they've done. But if I'm a leader and I've begun to discover that this is a trend with me, I give into anger, I give into my frustration or whatever it is by maybe being emotionally abusive and, even physically assaulting people. Yeah. I've seen where bosses physically assault their subordinates. How do I begin to reverse this trend?
Okay, great. For anyone who has convinced himself or herself that this is the way I am, it is really pretty challenging to try to convince the person because the individual has agreed and accepted that state, and the person thinks that that is the way to go. Some people, because they've achieved certain results with some kind of behaviors, they think so they use their results to validate their behaviors. Whereas you can achieve great success, achieve a lot of profit while you're carrying people along without bruising anybody along the way. So for anyone who is really truly open about change, about improvement, what can happen? First is seek help. Seek a coach, seek a therapist, somebody that can help you with anger management. But some of the tips that I can share, on this show, for example, one is you want to observe what are those things, what are the traffic lights, what are those things that tick you off, what is that thing that turns you off, what are those things, is this something somebody says, is it a particular behavior that you observe from someone, that gets you into that state? So that's the place of self-awareness. You want to find out what is that thing that pushes you to anger. When you discover what that thing that pushes you to anger, when it is happening, you want to keep your mouth shut. You want to keep quiet when that thing is happening. If it is possible, you can walk away from it. If it won't be termed rude, well, depending on who you are dealing with. So you can walk away. If you can't walk away and you have to be there, you need to keep your mouth shut. Yeah. I know it could be really difficult because a number of things may be running through your mind that you want to say, but it is better that you keep your mouth shut.
And then probably say it later.
And say it later on, especially you say it later when that emotion of anger has gone away.
It's easier said than done because, you are saying when that emotion of anger has gone away, but sometimes some people want to do what they want to do now. But I'm not sure we can finish this conversation today. I'm hoping that we can go into another dimension on it because I wanted to talk about practical steps, things that people can then do. Okay, the triggers and all of that. But I'm sure that we'll probably come back to that next week. Thank you so much, Abiola Champ, for joining us this morning. Now, to reward you and to calm you down for the rest of the day. Okay. You know how it is, Lagos, traffic, all of that. We're going to be taking you to the kitchen now. I hope you can join us. Chef Debbie has done something special.